Hey guys, I'm going to show you how I do my no-fail gown method. This means that hypothetically, if you have the right measurements for the bust and the waist and the hips, you could make a gown out of just those measurements. All of this was sponsored by Mood Fabrics, by the way, so thank you, Mood Fabrics. I start off with just an oversized skirt, and the skirt length should always reflect the height of your person that you're sewing for. Then I went in with the Helen Castillo pattern. This particular corset is one of my favorites. It is so easy and it turns out beautiful every single time. So I'm just cutting as many pieces as it says to per actual individual piece. Then when I have them all ready to go, I'm just kind of gathering them together, lining them up and making sure they're all going to work together. Next, I went in and I started cutting up the layer of my skirt. Today I'm using 3 different shades of tulle that is from their new Sparkle collection, and it is so fabulous. I love it so much. And I will have all the materials linked down below in the description. This was super easy though. I just went on by sewing it together and then gathering up the top. I don't like to gather by pulling the thread out of the two. You know what I mean? I don't like doing that. I just do a little bit of a push and gather and push and gather. And it works really well for me. Do not even come for my creative drawing skills because man, they're bad. They're just bad. Anyway, if we had a corset and the waist was about 26 inches, that means that whatever fabric we have for our skirt, it needs to gather down to 26 inches, okay? So that is saying that whatever the length is going to be for your person height-wise, you're going to do that. But you're going to gather the waist down to the amount of inches that is going to correspond with your corset. And that is how this is not going to fail. It's also a small tip, very important, to constantly, when you have the skirt done, constantly be checking in with that corset. Make sure that it didn't magically shift on you and your life is not going down the drain. This shouldn't happen. But you know what? We need to be careful in this life. Especially if you're sewing late at night, you know what I mean? It gets a little bit loopy. One of the cheapest, best tips that I'm going to give you right now is to get a hemming foot, okay? You can get a 3-pack of them on Amazon. They're pretty universal. Just get it. And if you don't know how to make a corset, we're going to do it now. Firstly, the corset should say pieces 1 through 4. You're just going to sew that pretty much 1 through 4. It's going to be really easy on your brain. We should have mirrored pieces, okay? Then you're going to lay them on top of each other, and there will be a chest piece. You're going to want to push that out so it will actually sit correctly. Next, after all your pieces are sewn together and they're sitting like a little sandwich, you're going to sew on the outside of it, okay? Imagine we're making a bag and then we're going to flip it inside out. So I'm just doing a little bit of a top stitch situation to get it all together to make my bag. And as you can see, it's sewn together nicely. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So I flipped it inside out and now it's looking good. And lastly, we're going to top stitch it again. So top stitch around, and then this is where it's going to get a little fun. I need you to stick with me. We're going to top stitch every seam of the corset, okay? But then you're going to go in and you're going to make boning channels. That means that basically a finger's width, you're going to sew on the sides of the seam. This is where your corset boning is going to go in to give it structure. This sounds intimidating. I promise it's not. You can do this. It's going to look a little bit like this, and when you're sewing, you can choose to finish it with bias tape or not. I mean, it's fine either way, but if you're not, a little tip is like I'm showing in that last clip, just leave some room so you're not sewing over the boning. For the top, I kind of freestyled a little bit. I just did some ruffles and then cinched them all together in a fun way. And at this point, I decided to sew it all on, and this is where we're gonna have our last big step. Our last big step is to get the skirt down to that main corset size like we were talking about. We're gonna squish and drop right onto that corset, okay? This is generally the point where I grab my safety goggles, because when you have a lot of layers like this, even if you have a heavy-duty machine, the needle might break and fly at you. Man, we've had some close calls. So yeah, that's what it's looking like so far. It did have a little bit of a weird issue right there, so I'm going to go back in and fix it. And for a cheat code, I'm not making the corset back this time. I will show a different time how you do that. It's super easy. But I ended up buying this embellishment and the corset piece, and I just installed the corset piece and then sewed on this embellishment. As you can see, I went in and I fixed the wonky waist like we were talking about. Super easy fix. And this is what she's looking like at the end of the day. I really like how it turned out. It's so pretty, and it has so many different pieces of it that catch the light and accentuate it. I hope you followed along and have a good one.